you can, and if you get that recording in progress, that sign will go away pretty soon, or you can just click the got it button. You can choose to put yourself in gallery view here, where you see everybody, either picture or name, or in speaker view, which might, and who is going to introduce our speaker, because she's the one who contacted him. And so Betsy, do you want to say a few words? Unmute yourself if you've been muted. Betsy?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Anyway, we're downsizing on this sunny April afternoon. And we formed this group because we want or need to downsize, but don't really have a grasp on our options for local disposal. But while it may be easy and kind to donate our jetsam to local charities, sometimes we prefer to receive some money for things that we think are probably valuable. But anyway, several years ago, Mary Ellen Baker, former director of Noelmene Library, left Fairbanks to locate in New Hampshire, I think it was. And I remember seeing ads for Hawk Shop and Pawn on television showing Mary Ellen selling her possessions. These were things that weren't worth shipping to the East Coast, but things that were too valuable to just give away, and when proceeds could help her in moving costs. But anyway, here we are, ready to downsize, ready to explore our options, and I'm welcoming our very first guest, David Hawkins, owner of Hawk Shop and Pawn on South Cushman. You can't miss it. It's a bright yellow building. And he's going to tell us about what his business offers downsizers like us. David, welcome. Tell us about your business. How did you get into it?
Well, first, thank you very much. I've never been asked to be a part of something like this. I've been in a lot of Zoom meetings, but this is really cool that y'all have this common bond here. So thank y'all for letting me share a little bit about what I do and what I can offer you. I don't know, some of you may know who I am. I used to have a TV show on Channel 7 years ago, and it was a buy, sell, and trade show. For years, people kept saying, "Where's your shop?" And so one day I decided to open a shop. And I've been in business now for, I was trying to figure it out the other day, I think it's around 7 years. And in that process, what I really was part of the goal was to be able to provide, especially furniture, at a discount. That was the initial goal, at a discount, because people were coming and going all the time. When I first got here, I spent a lot of money on furniture that I felt like I could have used in other ways. So I thought the used furniture market was a good way to started with that. And I eventually moved locations and a little bit moved focus, started working more
Is it not true? You don't want this to get
in the pawn industry, which I can explain that in just a few moments, but always had consignment. And consignment is the thing I think that really fits this group here. I'm a pawn shop. I sell firearms. Pawn is where people come in, they need some money, a short-term loan. I give them a short-term loan with something of value that they leave in its place. And then they come back by 30 days, pay 20% interest, they get their item back. That's part of what the business is. We also deal in firearms, which is part of what the business is. So we can do FFL transfers for people. Sometimes people are moving out of state. They want to transfer their firearms out of state. We can help them do that. And then the thing that I think really speaks to y'all is consignment, and then out and out buys. We do buy things right out, but with a lot of the items, we prefer to do consignment because it's a rather large amount of items. Mary Ellen, she consigned a lot of her house with us, a large part of it. I didn't know Mary Ellen prior to that, but boy, she was a joy to get to know. And when I asked her if she would do a commercial, she was all for it. And she told me I could use that piece of footage for as long as I wanted to. So it may come back one day because she was the perfect candidate. And what I mean by the perfect candidate for us with consignment is someone who doesn't want to deal with the public. And people who want to divest of expensive things or firearms all at one time, or an entire house. There has been several times that we have consigned, people have consigned their entire house because they were leaving. They don't want to deal with it, and we provide that service for them. One gentleman, we've been selling his stuff for 3 years now. We're just about to the end of it. But it was everything from a couple of cars to a boat. I mean, it was all this stuff, 4-wheelers. So, and then everything from that down to his household goods, you know, skis and all kinds of stuff like that. He was just ready to leave Alaska. So with a consignment, there's all kinds of couple of different options as far as what Mary Ellen chose to do was to have a company bring it to us. We do also have an option to come and pick up items, but we do have to charge for that because I mean, especially what things are right now with gas and labor, it becomes even more expensive to pick up things. The way we do that is if someone just say, for instance, wants to consign their entire house, then we rent a big truck. We have a bunch of guys come in, they get everything that they're supposed to get at one time. We try to do it all in one day, and then we can keep that cost down as far as getting it there. Once we get it to the shop, some things we have an idea of what some things cost because a lot of things come through regularly, televisions and things like that, musical instruments. But regardless, we look it up in our system. Our system is tied to shops like ours all over the country who do consignment, who do pawn, and who sell, and tells us what they are selling them for all over the country. And then we just had a lady consign yesterday a very, very expensive, rare, and I mean really rare chess set. I wasn't even sure if I could sell it because it's ivory. And we did a lot of research. Thank goodness she had the paperwork on it, and we're going to be able to sell this for her. And so, I mean, it could be anything. And we've sold some guns for her, and now she's wanting us to sell this. But we had to do a lot of research on that particular item because it is extremely hard to find. We spent probably a good 45 minutes, and then we had to take a break for a little bit, and then we went back to it later. And we have determined where we can sell it, approximately what we can sell it for. It's within what she's wanting. So that's how we made a determination with that. But if it's like a 55-inch television that's made by Sony, we can just look up that model number and it can tell us instantly what the value of that television is on the market. Same thing with firearms. Our system is tied in with firearms. We also use Gunbroker because sometimes things on Gunbroker, they're going for more on Gunbroker than they are in a pawn shop. So the lady who we just sold some firearms for her husband had passed, and so she was ready to get rid of them. We sold them on Gunbroker for her. because the guns were so expensive, there was no place here in the market to sell them. She was good with that. She didn't care. She picked up her $5,000 commission check 2 days ago. And then once something is sold, if it's anything, I'll tell you the things that are 70-30. And when I say 70-30, you get 70% as the consignee. I get 30%, are big items like jewelry, boats, cars, four-wheelers, firearms, those types of things. Things like couches, televisions, musical instruments, tools, things like that. It's a 50-50 split after it sells. And then once an item sells, we pay out within 15 days. It's 15 days later because they have the opportunity to bring that item back for whatever reason, which doesn't happen very often, but it has happened once with a consignment item. And then also if you're consigning a lot of things, then we can wait till there's a dollar figure. We can wait till, you say, hey, when it reaches 500, it reaches 1,000, whatever the case may be. And you can come by and pick up cash, or I can send you a check. And it doesn't matter whether you're here in the Fairbanks area or you're out of state. We send checks out of state every month. And then as far as, coming up with when I was just talking about it, I thought maybe I should be a little more specific. If we pick up items, if it's in town, we're looking at $150 for 1 day. And that's if we're picking up items. And usually we're doing a whole house when we quote like that. If we're picking up 1 or 2 items, we can certainly do it for less than that. It's if I have to hire a crew of 4 or 5 guys and we're trying to do it all in 1 day, then it's $150. And like I said, that's if it's a whole bunch of things at one time. Things that we do not take on consignment is clothing, also seasonal items, collectible dishes, or there's like collectible, like Beanie Baby things or things like that. I don't know what, a lot of the, I can't think of the name of them right now, but a lot of the different brands that in the 70s and 80s and 90s, they sold collections. Those are really hard to sell, extremely difficult. Even if you have an entire collection. I had a consignor that had over 1,000 pieces, every single one of them, and I could not sell it for him. I tried and tried and tried. Even found a company that's all they do is sell them. And I said, I can sell you the entire collection, and they weren't interested because they had plenty of them. So those are hard to sell. We don't take things like toasters or coffee pots or things like that. They're just really small items. We encourage people to donate those to Green Star. Those are really also just, they're so cheap, new, that there's really no sense. It takes up a lot of space. We don't find people looking for used toasters or coffee makers. Now, if you've got one of those really expensive Craig's, then that's something different. That's not a Black & Decker or coffee, Mr. Coffee. So I'm trying to look over all the things that were sent to me. As far as a business location, we're on South Cushman. I do have some pictures. I don't know if I would have to take over. I don't know if y'all want me to do that, but I think most of you might know where I'm at. Like Betsy said, it's a very obvious building, although this summer, a friend of mine who's been threatening for 3 years says he's going to paint it this summer. So it may be a different color here soon. So, but let me ask you, do you have any questions? I know I've been talking a lot. One of the things I do, people have said, how long is a consignment? I've had that question before. Our contract is for 6 months, but we never take anything from anybody. Usually at the 6-month mark, either somebody will call or they even won't call and say, I want to extend. That's no problem. Usually the phone conversation is good enough. But I did have about 5 months ago, the 6th thing that I consigned back 7 years ago, finally sold a couple, 3 months ago, and they got their payout. So I don't take anything from anybody. Now the price may go down. That's one of the things that does happen. The longer we have it, the price goes down. And it can be a very nice dresser that is just really hard to sell at a $350 price point. But then when we bring it down to $200, it will sell. But in that first 6 months, we don't move any more than 10% of what that original price is that we're asking in that first 6 months without giving you a call. So after that 6 months, we will reduce prices on things.
We have a couple questions in the chat.
Sure.
One of them is, what happens if someone buys something and returns it within 15 days and the item is damaged?
Okay, I have only had one time where a consignment was returned because we do not have we have no return policy. So that's only happened one time and it wasn't damaged. But if it is damaged, we are not responsible for any damage. It says that in the contract or that you signed with us. So if they damage it or we damage it, we're not responsible for it. It's an extremely expensive item. Boy, I don't know how we would do it, but I've only had one thing that was damaged too, and it was a light, and it was an expensive light. And I had to explain to the gentleman. I even told him I didn't want to take it to begin with because I was afraid it was too fragile. And sure enough, it fell and broke. So I don't know if that answered the question. I hope it did.
So sorry.
I got it up now if you want me to just address them.
Oh, you can see the 2 questions? Go for it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Stamp collections are extremely hard to sell. I have not had much luck with them. So I would say that that's not a good thing for me to try to sell. Gold coins, yes, certainly. And there are a lot of places that you can sell gold coins. I'll tell you that too. There is a lot of places that you can sell them. But we are a place you can. Okay, I see. Is there a resale market for something with an appraisal above $10,000? Yes, there is. And there is also other places that we can sell that. I have sold a couple of really nice high-end watches. I've got a couple of high-end pieces of jewelry right now. It really takes looking in other places to sell that often, but we can sell it. And I hope that answers that question. Do you sell art like paintings? Actually, those are very, very difficult. The most difficult. It really, I wish we could sell paintings because I love Alaskan art. I love all that. And I bought a bunch of it when I started and I'm still holding on to a lot of it now. It really is hard for me to sell. Do you arrange for shipping for things sold out of town? Yes, we do. If that's something that you need, we can certainly handle that for you. It does definitely depends on the item. If you're talking about a car or something like that, I can point you in the right direction. But if you're talking about, I'm not sure what you are talking about. Maybe you can tell me that, but we can arrange for that, yes. I think Mary Ann asked that question. And you're muted, Mary Ann.
Usually if you push the space bar and talk, it'll come through, but it didn't. Okay. What I was talking about is you said you do research on all of these things, and I'm sure that not all of these things can sell in Fairbanks. There's not a market for a lot of things. So if you know where it would sell and you have the contacts, do you do all the arrangements for that and send things out?
Yes, yes, yes. When we sell an item away from town, we charge them the shipping. They pay the shipping. That's the only way that we do it. And they pay the insurance. So and then we box it up and ship it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I shipped a bass guitar today. Bass guitar that was $750 bass guitar.
What if the price you put on it is less than, let's say, I want on it?
Well, you can take the item back. You can certainly take the item back. We do run into that from time to time. And if you can show me where they are being marketed, because I know a lot of things have sentimental value, and I've run into that a lot in this business. And what something is worth is only what it's worth out on the market. And what I have found out is I never know sometimes what something's worth. With that Ivory chess set, had no idea what that was worth. I know what she wanted it to be worth. It's not worth what she wanted it to be worth. And we just had to explain that to her and then show her, back it up with things that we had discovered. But I certainly don't want to upset anybody. So it's perfectly fine if it's something that you think is of more value than what we can sell it for. We can certainly not consign that item. That answer your question?
Yes, I was just curious because, as you say, I think sentimental value has more value for us than for you.
That is correct. And I have, like I said, I run into that a lot with sentimental value. And I do the best that I can, but there is only a limit to what someone will pay for something. So, any other questions? Is there a market for antique dolls? Only on the internet. There is no market here local for antique dolls that I know of, and I've had several that's come through, and the only place I've ever been able to sell them is through the internet. And when the internet with antique dolls, depends on the antique doll, but a lot of when I say internet, it's things like eBay, and then there's a couple of other apps that I'm just starting to get to working with. Milo's one of them, if y'all know what that is.
So do you have a walk-in store where people can buy things?
Yes, yes. The store is at 2117 South Cushman. It's right across the street from Tesco Lighting. And if it's next door to the Fairbanks Import Car repair shop. And yes, that's we have regular walk-in business. It's a family business. Me and my son are the one who run it. And so it's just us. That's all. We've had employees in the past. I've had other family members work for me in the past, but it's been very difficult to sell lately. Since the first of the year, sales have been really down. And what has been up is, I mean, I'm just giving you a little bit of what's going on in my business, is pawns, people asking for pawn loans, and people selling things have been way up. But right now, we are grateful that we're selling as much as we are on the internet, because that's where the most of our sales are coming from right now.
What about vinyl recordings and or antique furniture? Is there a market locally for either one?
Yes, for both. Vinyl is the thing that's my I guess my little passion thing. I love vinyl. I have been dealing in vinyl for years and years and years and years and years. I've had gigantic collections. I love vinyl. I understand how to sell vinyl. It's one of my favorite things to sell. And I get top dollar for vinyl because I've been doing that since the 90s. Antique furniture, yes, there is a market here for antique furniture. There are a couple of people who come in regularly looking. I'd say I know 2 that come in every Saturday looking for antique furniture. So yes, to both of those. And by the way, vinyl old, the hardest thing to sell for vinyl that I really can't sell are these time life collections and things like that. What sell are individual records, not these collection sets.
And what about 78 RPM, the old?
Yes. Yes.
What about 45s?
Yes. Especially if you've got sleeves to them. If you got sleeves to them, they're worth a whole lot. Some of the sleeves are worth more than the vinyl.
So how do you figure that? I mean, if I were to bring in 50 vinyl records, how do you know how good they are and if they're scratched and stuff?
Well, I go through every single one of them, believe it or not, which is quite time consuming. But again, vinyl is something that I love to do. So it's kind of takes the other stuff, the stress stuff away when I get to handle vinyl. But yeah, I mean, I know how to look them up. I know different resources to look up vinyl, different places to sell vinyl. We have regular customers because I deal in vinyl who come in on a regular basis looking for vinyl.
So would the vinyl be on the 30-70 split or the 50-50 split? And how do you determine the value? Well, a ballpark figure. If you have a ballpark figure for what an individual vinyl record, say Harry Belafonte LP would run.
A Harry Belafonte LP in excellent condition is only worth a couple, $3. So that would be when we run into things like that with vinyl, I buy entire boxes of vinyl if it's things like that. What I tend to do with vinyl is I will get boxes of vinyl. I will buy them for a certain price. If by chance we run across something rare in it, then we will get back in touch with that person and say, hey, we found this album that we were able to sell for $50. So here's you another $25 or whatever the case may be. We do that with video games. We do that with a lot of things because sometimes you buy these big boxes of stuff and you just buying them by number. You don't know exactly what's in it until you start delving into it. And once you start delving into it, you realize this game, I mean, we just had a game come in, it's worth $100. But when we bought it in the lot from the guy, we bought it for 50 cents. So now we've contacted the guy and we said, hey, we're selling this for $100. We're going to give you $50 of it. So it's the same thing with vinyl. If we take a big, huge box in on consignment, and we're going to try to sell it for the most that we can because whatever we can sell it for, we're in, it's 50-50. And vinyl is 50-50. So did that answer your question completely?
Very helpful.
Okay. Card
Thank
collections.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for the questions. Thank you. Card collections, difficult to sell because unless you got certificates of authenticity on. I just got muted by the host. It said, do you not want me to talk anymore?
Sorry, it was a mistake.
All right. I talk too much sometimes, believe me, I know. I try not to deal in any baseball cards, football cards, Pokemon, because it's too all over the place and it's crazy. You got to be into it. You really do. I'm into vinyl. There we go.
Do any dealers come to see you and buy things like antique furniture or art or something like that? Or is it mostly individuals?
It is 99% individuals. I do have this one guy, he has like his eBay business.
Mhm.
And his what he does in his eBay business is he goes around and finds things, and he's come into my store and bought more than once stuff that I've had, and then he turns around and sells it on eBay for a little more than what he bought it from me for. So you know, and so buying, what is the difference between buying and consignment? Okay, with buying, it is, and this is the standard for what we do. Buying, you're going to get about 25% of what the value of it is, because we're going to have to put the money out. We're going to have to hold it until it sells. But with consignment, it's a 50-50, or like I said, on larger items, more expensive items, a 70-30.
I still don't understand that.
Well, it's just simply, do I have to put my money? If I'm taking my money and loaning it to people and getting 20% back, then that's where I want my money to operate. I'm just telling you my business. That's all I'm doing at this point. That's where I want my money to operate. With consignment, it's 50-50. Anything that I buy from people off the street, it's 25%. If they'll consign it, they'll get a 50-50. I have people stand there and they go, well, I'm only going to get another $150 for my gun. I'll just go ahead and sell it to you. Or, you know, because by the time the consignment's paid out or whatever, they're only going to get 150, $200 more. So they're just going to just let it go and sell it. So that's the options there. Does that make sense to you, Carol? I think it's Carol.
Yes, it is, Carol. I think so. So you will buy some things outright, but only at 25, you only give the seller 25% of the value.
Right, because what happens with a lot of stuff is we may have it for when we have something for just 6-8 months, we've got to make money back on it. So it may be at that, we'll say we bought it for 25, we're trying to sell it for 100. Well, after 6 months, I've got to move that down to 50 because I got to get it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. And with consignment, it's going to stay 50-50 forever. It's not going to fluctuate. Does that make sense?
I think so. What is your preference? When somebody brings you something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest. It's the consignment because I really need my cash to be fluctuating in the pawn side of the business. So I prefer consignment. That way I don't have that cash out, because I can't go and buy somebody's entire household at one time, where like the last time we took an entire household, that guy, he's already $7,000 or $8,000 we've sent him, and I'm fixing to send him another check for $1,000. And so I didn't have to put that much money out to buy his entire house. And then now I'm able to sell it. He's not concerned if it turns really quick. He's just wants to get the most he can out of it. And that's what we're doing for him. Now, did that answer it better?
Yes, I think so. And if it doesn't sell after 6 months, the seller can take it back if it's on consignment?
Yes, and they can come and get it anytime. We don't, I've had consigners that I've had people that have consigned, and then especially young people, and then they will bring in somebody who they sold it to because they still had it on Facebook or something like that. And then they'll come in and say, I want to get off consignment, and then sell it right in front of me, which, I don't like that. I've had people do that with pawn stuff, get stuff out of pawn and turn around and sell it right in front of me, which is fine. I'm kind of an easygoing guy. Okay, someone asked, how about hand tools, large equipment items, guide tools? Yes, we have regulars who are looking for tools of all different kinds. We have a large tool selection. Those are things that we are successful with. We don't sell a whole lot of that on the internet. It turns around here quick enough. What are the tax consequences for the seller? That's a great question. The tax consequences for a seller with, you can sell up to $10,000 in a year through me without any tax implications. The very big, first big consignor I had, really large consignor, we got to where in that first year we paid him about $9,000, and he said, don't pay me in first of the year. And that's what I did, so that he would be in 2 separate years. So as long as it's not $10,000 or more in 1 year, then there's no tax consequences that I know of. And I don't even know that there's maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't know that there's tax consequences as much as there is red flag consequences, because if I give someone $10,000 or more in a year, I have to report that to the federal government, regardless of regardless if it's consignment, if it's a pawn, regardless, if there's $10,000 that transpires between me and another person in 1 year, I have to turn that into the government.
Terry, did you have a question?
Yeah, who determines the value of antique furniture? Does someone come out? Is there a local appraiser who looks at it and determines the value? Or is it done by photographs that are sent somewhere? I don't understand how that process works.
Sure. That process works on that we do our best to find furniture that is the same furniture or very close to it. Some things we already know. Cherry wood desk, I know a cherry wood desk is going to sell for around 100 to 150 bucks. And even if it's an antique, I just know that's what it's going to sell for. I've sold several of them. And then it is difficult at times. And oftentimes when it's antique furniture, I lean on what the consignor wants. We'll start there. And I will do that with items too, by the way, with the question that came up earlier, what if I think it's worth more? If I think that, hey, there's a possibility that we can sell it for that, I'll come to where you're at and we'll start there. Because I want to sell it and I want to make money and I want to help y'all. Does that answer that? I know I didn't tell you there was an appraiser because I don't have one. So we do our best to find that furniture or something like it.
Thank you.
Sure. Somebody told me the tax reporting limit on Facebook Marketplace is $600 a year. That is a lot lower than your 10,000 limit. Yeah, and I don't know much about Facebook Marketplace. I don't use it a whole lot. I have used it a little bit with specific items, but I tend to listen to what customers say, and a lot of customers say that that's a hassle sometimes dealing with Facebook and Craigslist.
What about Alaska Native art? The baskets or ivory or baleen, things like that. Do you take those sorts of things?
We do. Ivory's a little hard. Like I said, I have to do a lot of research because some ivory I cannot deal in at all. So if you've got paperwork, it sure does help. That's the only reason I'm able to work on the thing that came in yesterday that's ivory. Baleen, yes, we've sold a lot of baleen in the past, but only if it's scrimshawed and signed. I can't take baleen that's been painted. What was the other thing you said? Baleen?
Baskets.
Baskets are such a hit and miss market. It is so weird with baskets, and baskets tend to sit around a long time, but they tend to get the price you want for them. It just takes a long time. How do you satisfy your items you take, say a bicycle, for example, are not stolen? I have had items stolen. And I don't, it says, I'm just telling you, it says in my contract, if somebody steals it or breaks it, then I'm not responsible. And I have had items stolen. Consignment items, not that often. And if it is an expensive item, it's not going to be on the floor anyway. It's going to be behind the counter, or it's going to be in a case or something like that. What tends to get stolen the most from me is tools. And that's probably because I have so many of them. I got a couple of hundred tools, so it's easy for somebody to stand there for 5 minutes and stick it in their jacket. So, and then I don't discover it's gone until somebody on the internet wants to buy it. Because everything that I have, every item that I have is on, just to let you know, is automatically on 2 websites as soon as it goes into my system. The bass guitar that I sold yesterday was in the system for 5 minutes. It was a very rare guitar, and it was in there for 5 minutes. That was it. Somebody bought it that quick. And it's because as soon as we import something into the system, it hits our website, and then it hits a website called Baya, which is a nationwide site that people search just for items that are for sale. I think I might have missed a question. Let me see. Is it your impression that, is it your impression that people are bringing in more stuff now because they are moving out of Fairbanks, or because they are in financial difficulty? Well, moving in and out of Fairbanks happens a lot. That's one of the reasons I said early on was why I got in this business, was because it is so transient. So as far as people coming, what people who are consigning their whole houses are moving. People who are bringing me items for pawn right now, such as their firearm or jewelry or something like that, they are in financial difficulty. Right now, there are a lot of people moving in. So we are starting to get a lot more foot traffic here in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And it's because, and they're all going, just got here, not all of them, but a lot of them just got here 2 days ago. I got a little rental property. It was a couple just got here 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot of people coming in right now. So that makes it attractive for, I've sold a lot of furniture here lately. If I had furniture, I could just turn it like that right now. I've sold a lot of it here in the last week. I don't have enough furniture. If I had more furniture, I could sell it. So there we go. I think the question about stolen items was more about how do you know the bike someone brings you wasn't stolen? Okay, there you go. Now, this is where you have to ask the right questions at whether somebody's bringing me a stolen item or not. And that question depends on the item, but usually a person will let you know if it's not theirs or not just by asking them a series of questions. I took training on how to do that before I got into this business because I don't want to deal in stolen items. Also, all items that come through my system, every night at closing, when we shut the system down, it automatically sends a report to FPD, and it automatically sends a report to the troopers every single night. So therefore, if something is reported stolen and it comes into my shop, which has happened, it happens about 5-6 times a year that I know of, the troopers or the city will contact me within 24 hours if they've got a report on it and go, hey, give me the information on this. I give them all the information, then I work with the police on that. We try to get the item back to the person. We're the only pawn shop that does that, according to the officers that I've dealt with. Most of them will hold it and make them go through the whole process of what they got to go through to get it back. But our job, we feel like, is to reunite that item with the person. We don't want the item. I don't want a stolen item in my shop. So most of the time we can do that through the police, and they're very grateful that we do that. So.
You must have a really large shop if you take in all of these things, the furniture and so forth.
Okay, well, it's not as large.
Do you keep things in pictures or something sometimes, or do you really have that huge warehouse space?
Well, my shop, it's bigger on the inside than it looks on the outside. That's one thing. I drive my son crazy with filling it up too much sometimes. And then I do have 3 outbuildings behind my shop that I will put things in from time to time. Usually it's like I just ended up with, I don't know, 50 filing cabinets. So right now, one of my storage buildings has 50 filing cabinets in it. And I got them in the middle of the winter. I don't want to bring them out now. It's so, nasty. So as soon as I can, I'm going to bring them out. I'm going to sell them cheap, and we're going to put something else in there. When I've consigned whole houses, we have to fill up a Connex, and then we take it out and put the items in, because you have to put each item in one at a time. So we'll go out there and get 20 items and put those 20 items in and go out and get 20 more items or 10 items or whatever we have the time for. Somebody asked to see a picture of the shop. The only way I can think, I don't know if I can put it in the chat or not. That would be interesting. I don't know if I can. I don't think you can put pictures in the chat.
You can do share screen because you should be allowed to share the screen.
Say that I can share my screen.
Yes, I don't have it locked. So if you want to,
Okay.
if you have a picture, you could share it if you
Okay.
want.
Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, there it was. Go back. There it was. This is the outside of my shop. I don't know if y'all let me know if or when you can see it.
We see
Nope.
your
You
desktop.
see this? My desktop. Let me move
Yeah,
this up.
can you click on the picture that you want?
Yeah. I got 2 monitors. Does that show it? That show it or not?
No, it's still showing the desktop.
Huh.
It shows that you've clicked the picture, but it hasn't taken over your screen.
Oh, okay.
Huh? It ain't gonna do it. I'm trying to move it over here.
Well, I know Betsy said she was really impressed with your shop and everything was very well organized and.
Well, that's a gracious statement because I don't think it's well organized.
Well, that's what she said.
I'm sorry, I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. Maybe if I move it over here, let me try to move it over here and then try to open it. Because it says here that it's, oh wait, let's try this. No, it's not. I don't understand. I'm sorry. It says I have to share it through mail. So I apologize. I am.
Why don't you stop sharing?
Okay. Yeah, because it's confusing. Stop share.
Stop and try it again.
I can try it again.
Is your picture open right now?
No.
So sometimes what's helpful, what I do is I open the picture, and then when I go to share screen, I go to the picture instead of going through the folder.
Okay.
It's a possibility.
Now.
Now, yes, I can see it.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, yeah, that's my shop. I just took that picture this Saturday. As you can tell, my friend is all over me about me needing a paint job. So he's gonna paint it for nothing as long as I provide the paint. Now that's a real friend for you.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. He put the roof on it 2 years ago. So, but that's the inside. I don't know if I can, let me see if it will let me. Did it change?
No, I still see the
Oh.
outside.
Okay, okay. Well,
I've been put on safe driving mode and I've lost my video. Is there something I can do to get back to the video?
I don't know, because you're on a phone, so I'm not sure how that would work.
somebody says, do you sell quite a few new guitars? Yes, we sell a lot of guitars. And it's something we enjoy selling. That's why we sell a lot of them. And we sell new guitars and as well as used guitars. Like I said, we just sold just that. That guy was really happy he got that bass. It's just a really hard to find, extremely rare bass guitar. So, and we sell guitars anywhere from $50 up to $1,000. Any other questions?
Because there's a market for guitars, things like that. Instead of just waiting for people to bring them in, do you ever go out and buy new guitars or new items to sell?
Yeah, yeah. With guitars and amps, I do. I have a company I work with in Tennessee, and I buy new guitars for them, and then I buy what are known as B stock guitars. These are guitars that didn't pass quality inspection with the companies that they were made by. Sometimes it's a paint issue, sometimes it's a neck issue. They repair the guitars and then they sell them on what's called the reclamation market. So I buy those guitars from them, and then I also buy brand new guitars from them too.
Are there other items that you buy new so that you've got them in the shop?
Not really. No. Guns. Yeah, we do buy guns new from time to time. If we can find, there's a couple of places, couple of wholesalers that we deal with, and if the prices are right, then we do that. But the markup on new firearms is really low, so it's hard to make any money at it.
I have a question about clothing. You say that you don't take clothing, but when I was in your shop, there was a very fancy parka in there that was priced $750. And I was just wondering if that kind of thing sells.
All right, well, we'll find out with that one. That particular parka, I'm trying to sell it for a friend. So, yeah. And then there was some, right now you would also see some like Ski-Doo or snow machine clothing that's right next to it. And that was a gentleman who consigned his whole house. If you consign your whole house, we'll take the clothing and try to do what we can with it. It's just a lot of people want to buy the new stuff. If it's, really heavy winter clothing, we can sell that from time to time. Really nice winter boots, we can sell that from time to time. Bunny boots. I mean, I even sold a pair of bunny boots yesterday, which surprised me time of year. So I was just fixing to put them in the basement, so I'm glad it sold.
How about an electric snowblower?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Would it sell now?
It'd be hit and miss. It wouldn't sell now as quickly as it would in October, November. I mean,
Okay.
I can't keep them. I mean, I get calls all the time for them.
I'll see you next October.
Okay,
if not before.
okay. I hope this has been helpful.
Mhm.
You know, there are, and this is the way that I run my life. There are a lot of different options for people to divest. What I tend to try to relay to people is that we're going to do it for you in an honest way, the best way that we can, and in an honest way. That's just the way that we do business. But there are other ways of doing it. There are auction houses. I mention this too because some people, this is a service that they need. There are auction houses. There's good auction houses, and you can turn your items really quick and things like that. So keep that in your mind too. And then also you can do it yourself. Some people they like to do it themselves. When you do it yourself, please don't spend all these just hours and hours and hours and hours lamenting over the items, or either, so that's one of the reasons that people do call us, is they don't want to lament over the items anymore. They need them gone for a closure or for something like that. So don't spend all that time doing that. And then also, if you have a yard sale, you're gonna get insulted because they're gonna offer you way low than what you want. But if that's the route that you need to go to, that's also another really great route. So keep those things in your mind too. There's more than me. It depends on what you need at that time. That makes sense?
Yes, and convenience is sometimes worth a lot. So having you do it seems like a really good idea. Actually, is it a good idea to make an appointment when we need to bring something in, or just walk in? And what's the best way to
Just
contact
walk in, or if you have like several items and you want me to come look, I can do that too. I do that all the time. Say, you've got several pieces of furniture, or you've got a boat and a couple of firearms. I can come out and look at them, or you can bring them in, either one. If you want me to do your whole house, I have to we do have to make an appointment for me to come and make an assessment, and also to be able to tell you when I can get it out. So because I have to hire people.
Do you share your email address or telephone number?
Oh, sure, I can do that. I can put that in the chat. Is that good?
Oh, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do that.
Was there another question?
Well, I don't know if this is a fair question, but if we were to come to you and say, I have this, is this the best place for you to sell it? Or is there some other place in town that specializes? Would you help with that?
Oh, yes. I point people in different directions on a regular basis. There are certain things, stamp collections. There's not anything I can do with it. I don't even think Jerry Cleworth is taking them anymore. He'll take them if they got the gold in them, but that's it. So there are times when people come in and I will point them in different directions. Even with jewelry, like jewelry, I always point people to Bishop's, or I point people down to Gold Rush, fine jewelry downtown. Mike Webb, great guy. He will be fair and honest with anything that you deal with him with. So yeah, I don't mind, recommending other places that, especially if I can't do anything. I'm not going to waste your time and my time if I can't do anything for you.
Hawk, if you put that in the chat, I don't see it. Does anyone else see it?
I thought I did. Oh,
No, I don't see it.
went to one person. That's because I didn't hit everything. I'll do it again. I'm sorry. Let me try this. There we go.
Thank you.
Well, it's 4 o'clock, and we've covered a lot of information. I want to thank you so much. This has really been great. Thank you, and I'm sure that you will get some visitors from many of us. I think you've answered a lot of questions. Are there any last minute questions?
Yeah, don't close it down until I type all of his stuff in there.
Well,
Okay.
also, y'all can call me too. You can feel free to call me at the shop. I'm usually there. I mean, just to give you a stamp time, I'm usually there Friday afternoons and on Saturdays. Other times it's going to be hit and miss because I do have a full-time job that I do on top of that. So, and then also thank y'all very much. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy doing this business, and I enjoy working with people who I can be a blessing to them and serve them. So thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. This has been great.